fun.
Yeah! Woo! What's up, Louie? How you doing today?
Little malfunctions going on.
A little bit.
Your PED is we're falling off there.
Just a little bit. That's all right. I caught him before there was major damage. We're good. Hello, Louie. Hello, Warren. 2009 Fantasy Football League. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Doing groovy.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing as good as you can be right now. I totally understand that.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. This is fine.
It happened. We've made it to the playoffs / Sacco determination rounds. Oh boy. I don't know, man. I got a little testy there towards the end. That game of the week pick that we had got me a little bit nervous. As well it should have. Carson did a great start. Made things a little bit interesting.
Almost thought he wasn't going to return. Then he comes back, and then some Russell woes. Yeah.
Some Russell woes up until the last half there, the second half. So I have to just throw it out there. This is very interesting. By default, because of the bye week, this is the farthest I've ever gotten in the fantasy playoffs in our league.
On the playoff side of things, right? Not the Sacco playoffs, but the winners.
And the winners that last year was the first year I squeaked into the playoffs in our league, and I made it to the first round, and I immediately. Oh my goodness! But I mean, seeing as how it was my first year in the playoffs, I was happy just to be there. I'm happy just to be here again. As we can all remember, my first 3 years in the league, I went back to back into the Sacco Bowl and handed out 3 different Sacco titles.
That is a record I am looking to match.
Oh man, Louie, I hope
you never think it's going to happen to you, but then it does, and well, here we are. Yeah.
Do you want to give us I'm talking about myself here, and we're talking about you, but you want to give a recap of everybody in the league here and see what happened last week? And
yeah, definitely. Prescott Sterling's coming out swinging, put up 113 to the Circuit Browns measly 70. Newly named Not Enough Cooks also put up 115 to Hooper's hampered pathetic 58. Sorry, Matt. It was pathetic, and you know it. Galladay in, just making sure that they stay in first.
Yeah.
By a lot. They put up the highest points of the week at 135 to Silver, the newly named Silver Cageling. They put up 91. Team Woodsy put up 104 in an exciting matchup to Nooktown, 99. And then Bow Out for Burrow scored 121 against me, putting up 92. A pathetic 92. Needed the win, and the best my team could do was 92 points. Some last-minute changes with Julio, and here we are. Thank you, Julio, if you're listening.
You put up a good fight. You did the best you could. I think we were talking right before we started recording here. You know, you had gotten to 5 wins on the season, and then you were pretty pumped. There were still a couple of weeks left.
Yeah.
to make something happen. I do got to say though, at least you got another win under your belt. You were 6-7, correct? Is that your final record?
That's where I'm finished. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you finished. I'm gonna gloat about my half pounder prediction of Hooper's Hampered. Hooper's Hampered. I said would not win a single game after their 5-game mark, and they did not.
Ooh. So Matt, I don't exactly feel your pain.
Yeah.
All the 4 of us in the bottom, we do have feelings and we do have pain. That goes for me, Dale, Matt, and Lyjack. But hey, we got a bye, so.
Hey, we got a bye.
And something to look for. I don't know how far back it goes, but whoever scores the most in the Sacco on the bye week has been the Sacco. I know it's been for the last 2 years. I don't know how far back it goes. Maybe someone on the laptop could look it up.
I'm pretty sure this actually is a proven thing every year. I'm almost positive where, the first week of the Sacco tournament, there's a bye week for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Your guys' points don't matter this week, but
just like Whose Line?
Yeah, exactly. Everything's made up, but the points don't matter. Yeah, I think statistically and just historically, during this bye week in the Sacco tournament, whoever scores the highest here has gone on to claim the title of Sacco. So,
now don't go benching anybody.
You don't want to piss off the fantasy guys.
No, we are pleasers.
Oh, there we go. We got the weekly recap there. We actually have.
Do you have an update on Pick'ems at all?
Shiza. Let me get that out here.
I was just curious. I didn't check with you pre-show, but
yeah, and that was something that I probably should have done. I should have had that ready.
Hey, you're in the playoffs, man. You don't got to worry about anything. So
I think that's where that attitude came from. It was just like, yeah, what else do I have to worry about right now?
What? Me? What?
No. In fact, I don't have the paperwork that is needed for this. Oh boy, I really don't have.
What, 3? I was behind by 3.
You were behind by 3.
And we differed on 3.
We differed on 3 games.
I don't remember what they were.
Not a clue. Not a clue. I have actually so much paperwork here from the amount of time that we've been doing this. All of these have been a collective from every single week that we've done this. And I'm not about to go sorting through all of this paperwork if I don't have to. We'll give you an update. I might actually go through and send a message out to everybody if anybody still actually cares.
Yeah, I know. Nobody has given us a punishment yet, so I don't think anyone cares. It's just for us.
I think it's probably just for us. It's just been kind of fun to.
Might be a habanero. That's been the theme.
Oh, speaking of habanero, since I don't have this as of right now, I
know Lyjack's happy about this one.
Lyjack, you're going to be happy about this one. Somebody is following through with their bet. Somebody earlier in the season, if we go digging through the videos, I can't remember which week it was, but they said that they would eat 2 peppers, Lyjack, if you ended up beating Chet in your given week matchup. Well, guess what? That ended up happening. We have somebody here who came on for Game of the Week, I think it was.
Yep. And, it was our game. It was our matchup, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
So he is ready to follow through. I think he wanted to get this done before he continues further, probably so he pleases the fantasy gods for sure.
What's up?
Hello. Hey, sir. How you doing today?
I am good. How are you boys doing? Hello.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Oh, God. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, I'm full of it.
He's got it. Yeah. So we were just giving a little recap here that you don't want to piss off the fantasy gods, so you are following through with your bet.
Yeah, I'm a man of my word. That's all it is. So
that's what it is. Man of your word, following through on a bet. Lyjak's going to be extremely happy about this.
Yeah, except he's not in the playoffs. So.
So who actually has the last laugh here?
Probably still him.
Bye for Lyjak with this.
Everybody watching this video.
Oh, my lighting's working.
That's okay. Do you have the peppers? You want to show it to the lot of us here? That's one.
Look at those ripe
and
juicy ones.
Yeah, this one's really nice.
I have a feeling that one that you're holding in your right hand is going to be hotter, just based on the amount of wrinkles it has.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's been old. It's older than this one. That's what it is. Anything older is a little sassier.
It's at time to
die, so. Jesus.
Well, shit. So we're gonna have you, since we only have 2 matchups, we're gonna have you eat a pepper at the beginning of each predictions here.
I can't wait for that second one just to see. You probably won't even feel it. You'll be like, no, my mouth's already on fire.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do an unofficial shout out to Tums. Not a sponsor, but
not a sponsor. Hashtag not a sponsor.
They should be.
They sponsor Hot Ones, and this is our hottest episode yet.
So flattered. But oh god! All right, so
have you been drinking milk all day, or have you had any strategy to it?
I've been literally drinking Tums. That's my strategy.
They have Tums chewables now.
Oh, they're just gonna go straight down for
like chewy Tums, not like obviously it's chewable, but
they're like berry flavored, right? Or something
yeah, they have
like
chewy Tums.
I'm just sitting here like extremely pissed at myself that I never thought about having Tums on either of those weeks that I had a pepper.
Or Pepto-Bismol.
Anything.
Listen to Pepto, man. Ugh, I hate Pepto.
I fucked up really bad those 2 weeks.
All right.
Well, shit.
So you guys ready?
We're ready, man.
I'll be kicking it off here as soon as the as the pepper drops.
Ooh.
Oh, you went for a small bite. Are you gonna eat the whole thing? Yep, there it goes.
Oh, he's a man of his word.
Oh my God.
Glasses are fogging up.
It's already getting hot.
All right, as you guys enjoy the Heiser face.
A Heiser face.
I will kick it off here. We got the number 3 seed and the number 6 seed. Not enough cooks going up against Nooktown. First time they matched off, Nooktown did take him down 148 to 111. So we got a bit of a rematch. Bull going for not enough cooks. Let's start with the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers at home against Washington. They're 22nd against the QB, and he is the quarterback 8 on the year, so he's got a pretty favorable matchup. Facing off against Deshaun Watson at home against Denver. They're 6th against the quarterback, but as we saw last week, sitting Deshaun Watson and playing Sam Darnold did not do Nooktown any good. So they are throwing back out their best, and he's the quarterback 3 on the year. I did some feeling good there, bud.
Yeah, I feel great.
Good. So I did some comparisons here. Deshaun Watson has 56 more fantasy points in total on the year than Aaron Rodgers. He has 1 more passing TD, but he has 5 rushing TDs to Aaron Rodgers' 1 rushing TD. Aaron Rodgers has 2 interceptions, where Deshaun Watson, I believe, has 7 on the year. And then sacks, I was pretty surprised by this, being the speedster that Deshaun Watson is. He has 35 sacks on the year, which is just under 3 a game. And Aaron Rodgers only has 27 sacks on the year. What else I got? Oh, yeah, and Deshaun Watson has double the rushing attempts over Aaron Rodgers. So lending him being the quarterback 3, he's got more weapons on his person than Aaron Rodgers does. Also, another notable thing is that Deshaun Watson has 112.7 passer rating in the red zone this year. So he's been uber efficient, especially with those 5 rushing touchdowns. Advantage here, it's tough. I'm going to lean on the matchup side of things and go with Aaron Rodgers, simply for the fact that the last few weeks have been pretty. Whoever has the better matchup is really going to be doing better. Next up for Not Enough Cooks, the wide receivers, Devonta Adams, also up against Washington. They're 18th against the wide receiver. He's the wide receiver number 31 on the year. It said one of the stats that I read, he had 52 receptions and 8 touchdowns. And he's averaging 6.5 receptions per game, which is the 4th best this year. He did miss some time, so that stat's a little inflated, but still to be averaging 6.5 receptions per game is pretty good. Pairing that with Stephon Diggs at home against Detroit, they're 26th against the wide receiver, so things are looking good for him. He's wide receiver 18. Mm-hmm. And last time they played Detroit, he put up some pretty good numbers. He scored 21.8 fantasy points, 7 receptions, no touchdowns, 143 receiving yards.
Are you hanging in there, Heiser?
It's all right. It's all right.
Life is good. Life is good.
Life is good. Life is good.
This is the worst thing that happened to me today. I'll be all right.
So there you go.
Did something else bad happen?
No, there's still time for worse.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
The night is young. Let's look at Nucktown's wide receivers. He's got a very different look than how he started the year. He had Juju. Keenan Allen was his number 3. DeAndre Hopkins was in there too. His starting 2 that he's putting up there is Calvin Ridley and Allen Robinson. Ridley gets Carolina, and Julio Jones is still on the fence about this week. I haven't been reading anything on my own team, so I have no idea what his status is for this week. He could play. But Ridley's the wide receiver 22 on the year. Last time he played Carolina, he put up 28.3 fantasy points. He had 8 targets, 8 receptions, 143 yards, and 1 touchdown in that game. So if history repeats itself, he could be having a spectacular game. Allen Robinson, who's been coming on strong as of late, actually the wide receiver number 21. He'll be at home against Dallas. They're 8th against the wide receiver, though, so it could be tough for him. He's had 8 targets within 10 yards of the red zone this year, which is 6th best for wide receivers, which isn't too bad if you look at the Bears as a team. So he's getting a bulk of those targets. Sidebar. Is Zach Miller still a Bear?
He was a coach. He's like a special coach, I think.
Is he not playing? Is he not playing?
No, he's not playing. I don't think he is.
Not after
poor guy.
What he went through.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, that poor guy.
But I'm pretty sure he's just like a special assistant coach or something like that.
Yeah, that's why we picked up Trey Burton, and then a lot of good that did us.
Yeah, look at that. So tough to give any advantage here. The spacing on these guys, I mean, all 4 of them, I guess, are top 30, top 31, with Devonta Adams being 31. Obviously, it would be higher if he didn't miss those 4 or 5 games. The matchups have me leaning towards Not Enough Cooks. Yeah. I'm going to give it a slight advantage as well. Then let's look at the running back, starting off with Nucktown. They're throwing out Chris Carson, who did some work last week despite the scare. They'll be in LA against the Rams. They're 13th against the run. Carson is the running back 10 on the year. Last time they faced off, he had 18.8 fantasy points. It was 27 rushes, 118 yards. He had 2 targets, 1 reception with a 5-yard touchdown. And he's averaged 81.2 yards per game since last season, which is 3rd among eligible running backs. So considering where he was drafted, he's been doing pretty well he was traded as well. Who traded him? Lyjak?
No,
Robbie?
This man right here.
Robbie?
I did.
You did. That's right, you did. Also, a new Sid Nucktown from the beginning of the season is Melvin Gordon. He's at Jacksonville. They're 26th against the run, so fire him up. Running back 35 on the year, but we know that he had to sit out. And he has 89 rush yards on average over the last 4 games, which is third best. And Jacksonville has allowed 160.8 average yards over the last 4 games, which is the highest. So Melvin Gordon could be having himself a spectacular game. Austin Eckler could do well too, but it doesn't matter this week. Le'Veon Bell for not enough cooks facing Miami. Gotta like that. He's running back 12 on the year. Last time they played, he had 16.10 fantasy points, 17 rushes, 66 yards, 9 targets, 8 receptions for 55 yards. No touchdowns there, so he has some improvement to go. And then Leonard Fournette, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, running back 4 on the year. He's at home against the Chargers. They're 24th against the run, so these guys both, and I'll get to his flex later, but they both have top 10 worst defenses to run against. Leonard Fournette's lowest score this week was 9.2 points, and that was in week 11. And he's had 49 receptions over his last 8 games, which is third amongst all running backs. Historically, just a sort of a downhill runner, but he's been, especially when I can't think of their name now. Yeldon, TJ Yeldon was there, so he was handling a lot of the passing work. But now Fournette has really stepped into the workhorse role, so that so he's getting a lot of work. So his stats have really boomed up. Just chilling with it there.
Yeah, I'm just I'm trying to make fun of it just in case.
So despite Melvin Gordon having potentially one of the best running back showings that we'll see from him this year, I got to give the advantage to Le'Veon Bell and Leonard Fournette, just for the matchup sake, because they are going to go off, I feel. Tight ends, not enough cooks, throwing out Hunter Henry, he's had the second highest fantasy points. Oh, it came in on the sleeper app today, Josh. Did you see it? Hunter Henry has the second highest fantasy points in the last 6 games? 8 games?
I think since his return, before last week, he was actually the tight end number 1 since his return. And then last week changed things because he had a terrible week last week.
Yeah, I think he only scored like 2 points or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think the only one higher than him is Kelsey. He has like 109 points, and Hunter Henry is like 99 points or something like that. So phenomenal job. Hold on, we might have some breaking news. Paris Campbell was full practice today after a gruesome 4-week hand injury. No idea who that man is. Plays for the Colts, apparently. Hunter Henry is the tight end 8 on the year, so he has worked his way up. I did some comparison to George Kittle, the guy he's going up against. George Kittle is the tight end 6 on the year, so let's keep that in mind, that Hunter Henry did miss 4 games. I think Kittle missed 2 games. So there's a 2-game difference between these two guys. Last time Kittle played New Orleans, I'll share this first. Last time Kittle played New Orleans, he had 10 receptions. No. Sorry. I read my handwriting wrong. He has not played New Orleans yet this year.
Okay.
This is what I would say. He has 10 receptions of 20-plus yards this year, which is third most among all tight end. Between Hunter Henry and George Kittle, they have the same number of TDs of 3. Kittle has 10 more targets, 13 more receptions, only 190 more receiving yards. So that's with a 2-game difference. The way Henry's been playing, I feel like that could have been made up big time between 2 games. It's not a whole lot. It's 5 targets a game, or 7 catches, but they're pretty much neck and neck. So it's really, we have to look at the matchup here. And Hunter Henry gets Jacksonville, they're 13th, and then George Kittle gets New Orleans, who's 11th. So it's really close. I'm going to go Hunter Henry just with how he's been playing since returning. Kittle has. I mean, he's still tight end number 6, but he's not lived up to the top 3 tight end that he was drafted to be. So Hunter Henry all the way.
All right.
Flex position, Dalvin Cook. And so I wanted to get him when I was talking about the other running backs. He's running back 2 on the year, and he gets Detroit, who's 30th against the running back. Mm-hmm. So juicy matchup. Last time they played each other, he put up 31.4 points, 25 rushes, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 2 targets, 1 reception, 7 yards. So we've seen what he can do against them. Detroit has not really looked all that good as of late. And Dalvin Cook has been the main focal point. He did have a little scare last week.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Bye, Louis.
Oh, Louis.
God, he's very confused on why it froze.
Yeah. Oh, man. I hope
we had a little scare last week, but he says that he's ready to play. So,
I mean, he does say he's ready to play. Nobody picked up Madison, did they?
He has Madison.
Oh, that's right. He had him on his bench. He was expected
he had
Madison.
He traded for Madison.
Yeah, he traded Malcolm Brown.
Malcolm Brown for Madison earlier in the year. Smart trade. I mean, I did the same.
So Dalvin Cook.
So
that
Dalvin
guy,
Cook,
a little bit of a scare. But yeah, if he's in full go against Detroit, he should be looking good. Heading off against DeAndre Hopkins, who threw for a touchdown last week, if I'm not mistaken. Did he, Robbie?
Yeah, he did. Happened? It counted. I guess they drew that play up right over the weekend or something like that. It was kind of just, hey, fumble forward.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely it was.
I didn't see the play personally, so
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but
they counted it as a pass. Yeah. I mean, it's not like the John Brown pass from Thanksgiving where he actually legitimately did that.
Or the Julian Edelman touchdown.
Or the Julian Edelman touchdown. No, this one was he got hit as he threw it forward. It was kind of weird.
Huh. Fun stuff. So DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver number 8 on the year. He's going up against Denver at home. Denver's 6th against the wide receiver, so it's going to be tough. I mean, they're actually 6th against the quarterback as well. So that could be tough, but Nuke is averaging 7.9 receptions per game, which is second best, I believe, only to Michael Thomas. Since week 6, he's had 55 receptions and 7 touchdowns. So dude's an animal, as we all know. But I don't think it's going to be enough against Dalvin Cook unless they sort of rest Cook and we see Madison get some more touches. But I think it's Cook all the way here. When all said is done.
Well, I'll tell you what, Robbie, you're our special guest here.
What's up,
In between peppers, you want to give us a couple of bold predictions?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I do. So I just did one for each team. Make it sweet and simple. I put for not enough cooks. I didn't really get specific, but I think their 2 receivers will outscore their 3 running backs. I think their 2 receivers have monster weeks. The matchups are great, like you guys said. Mm-hmm. The running backs are going to have good games too. Dalvin Cook, if he's limping, like you said, maybe gets a little bit of rest. But I just think those receivers blow everybody out of the water.
Sure.
And then for Nucktown, I put kind of on your train, Louis. Melvin Gordon goes 150 on the ground and a touchdown.
There you go.
Yep. So, yeah, the Eclipse is a 150. Great matchup. He's been looking really good. So I think it's going to be a good matchup, good game for him.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Louis, who you got winning and moving on to the semifinals?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of revenge games. So not enough cooks, I think, takes this one. They lost by over 30 points to Nucktown in week 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. So I think the Cooks will win. I got them winning by 4. Could be more, could be less, but I think 4 is pretty fair.
I actually got Not Enough Cooks winning by 10. I think they're gonna pretty much smoke the competition, like Robbie was saying. They got great match.
If Texas doesn't show up against Denver, then yeah, it'll be more. But I think those two could keep Danny in contention.
It could be.
If they have average, you know, what their floor is. Like, you know, if they put up 18 points apiece.
And, you know, Danny has said it multiple times. His Texans really set the pace for his fantasy weeks. So I think you're right on that one. If Deshaun and Hopkins have terrible weeks, have a terrible week, that he's probably going to lose. So, yeah, I Not Enough Cooks. I think you have what it takes. I think you're going to get that satisfaction to try to get back at me for the comment I made on Monday night in the chat. You're definitely going to try to get that satisfaction. And if not, then Danny's going to come back ready for a rematch. So we'll see what's up. But I think
the Cinderella story, the 6th seed.
Amen.
I like it.
All right, Robbie. Are you ready?
Y'all fired up?
I feel good.
No, you got to eat the whole thing.
I took their stem off.
Yeah, whole thing.
Give me back
Pop it
the
like
stem.
a grape. Pop it like a
No,
grape.
I will do the same thing I did last time.
Yeah.
Better, worse, same.
I
You
can't
want your
imagine.
legs to be better, to be worse, or to stay the same?
I can't imagine back to back. I've done 2 of these throughout this season so far. Back to back. Bless your heart and your body later in the night. Oh, there you go, Lyjack. That's
Dude, it's gonna hurt even more if that comes up. Push it down. Swallow, baby.
You got
There's a lot of sweets. It's a really weird, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's weird, and then it gets hot.
it's all good. One shot for the Peppers was Scott not being in the playoffs, and second Pepper shot is I knocked him out. So, woo!
There you go.
Totally throw some Tums in there.
There you go. The immediate chaser of the Tums.
I was at B-Dubs recently, and I had their Wild, which I believe was one less than the Blazing, and I had their Mango Habanero. The Wild was easy. The Mango Habanero with the sweet hit the whole tongue, and it had me tearing. But the Wild, I was like, are you kidding me? I feel like I want to go back and do the Blazing, just to have a few, just to see.
Try it out.
Yeah, to see where it's at. I've never done the challenge. I may have dipped my pinky in the sauce just to taste it, but I don't exactly remember anything about it. That was years ago, so.
I would just stick with the
Who
mango.
knows? Maybe the Pick'ems has to do the Blazing Challenge, yo.
Yo,
Josh already did that. He's fine.
Yeah, I'll be ready. All right, so we'll move on here. We've got. Here we go. Okay, we're good. Oh, of course. So we're moving on to the second match here this week. Prescott.
Chuck.
Whoa. Prescott Sterling going up against Cirque de Browns. We have an immediate rematch from last week. Super fun. Prescott Sterling's fourth place. Browns, the 5th place seed. These two have played each other twice in the regular season.
Ooh, 3 times.
So this is going to be number 3 rubber match as well, because first matchup, the Browns won. Second one, the Prescott Sterlings won to take 4th place seed here. Rubber match. Love it.
We're seeing a lot of Robbie tonight.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of Robbie.
Sorry,
there we go. We're good.
Working.
As long as you're good. You're good?
I'm good.
All right. So we got the quarterback matchup here. Dak Prescott, he is quarterback number 2 on the year. He is facing Chicago. Chicago is 7th against the quarterback position. Dak, 3 of the last 4 weeks, has thrown for over 350 yards and 2 touchdowns. His biggest slump in the last 4 weeks was against New England. So, hey, not too bad, though. He still threw for 212 yards in that incredibly terrible weather. So, give him props for that. The dude is gunslinging. He's, his team might not be doing so hot, 6-6, but, I mean, fantasy-wise, he's doing great. Chicago hasn't allowed over 270 pass yards since week 7. And that was to Teddy Bridgewater, interesting enough. But that's because they've played the likes of Jeff Driscoll, Rivers, Goff, Wentz, and Daniel Jones. So this will probably be a really tough matchup for him, for the defense here. And I'm interested to see what happens. He's facing off against Jameis Winston. He's number 6 quarterback on the year. He's facing off against Indianapolis. Indy is 11th against the quarterback position. This is going to be a tight matchup for QBs. He had his least productive fantasy day last week since week 1. He's averaging 305 yards on the season. He's his 2 wide receivers. They're still number 2 and number 3 on the season. So like he's got the weapons.
Yeah.
He's continues to throw. Indianapolis, though, is a tough matchup. Last week, Ryan Tannehill didn't do much, but then the week before, Deshaun Watson went for 298 and 2 touchdowns. So, they can be thrown on. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Honestly, he's going to throw some picks. It's going to obviously hurt his fantasy production. Not to say that Dak won't, because he probably will. I just think if Amari Cooper is good, healthy, and is available, I like
Let the boy rest.
I like all the main weapons, including the sole running back with the talent there in Dallas as opposed to Tampa Bay. So I'm giving the advantage to Dak here. We'll move on to the wide receiver positions. For the Sterlings, we got Michael Gallup and Jarvis Landry, 2 wide receivers who at the beginning of the season were wide receiver 2s. It looks like Jarvis is the wide receiver 1 and probably a wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes as well. Jarvis is wide receiver number 12 on the year, so top 15 wide receiver. He's facing Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been pretty decent against wide receivers, which is weird. They're 10th against wide receivers, but right now Landry leads the teams in targets, receptions, yards, and reception touchdowns out there in Cleveland. He's averaging 9 targets a game, 77 yards a game. So this is going to be a great opportunity for him as long as Baker continues to do good things. That remains to be seen, but it's. I think the reason that Cincinnati is so good against the wide receiver because teams go up and then just run the ball. Precisely. So we'll see. Landry has to get the immediate production, or he might not have a good game. Michael Gallup, he is the clear wide receiver number 2 behind Cooper. Although if Cooper doesn't have a good game, or if he's still injured and goes out, he becomes the number 1. Chicago is 4th against the wide receiver position. They're really good against the pass, not as good against the run. We'll get to that soon. Gallup is averaging 8.1 targets a game, 79 yards a game. He's been pretty good as far as wide receivers 2 goes. Despite allowing relatively few passing yards, Chicago seems to have a consistent habit of letting one long pass go for a touchdown, and it's been happening throughout the season. I think it happened to Emmanuel Sanders when they played Denver from immediate memory. That it happened to the Golden Tate, I think it was. And then last week it happened again to Kenny Golladay, even with a third-string quarterback. So, I mean, it's possible. It's possible.
Robbie, you should have started college.
So, I mean, it's possible. Gallup has a good day because of one long play.
Still one.
You don't want to bank on one long play though. So let's see. Galladay.
Still won. Still had high score.
Hey, that's all I have now, Robbie. Don't take it away from me.
I'm sorry, Louis. I should not be so mean to you. I apologize. I will wait till later to do that.
Thank you.
See here, other side of the ball, the Browns got Mike Evans, Cooper Kupp, wide receiver number 3 and wide receiver number 7 on the season. Mike Evans going against Indianapolis. As we talked about, Winston could have a good game. He could have a bad game. He could have an in-between game. He just loves to throw the ball, though. So expect one of these two wide receivers to have some sort of fantasy production. Evans, 9.7 targets a game, 91 yards a game. But a lot of these these average yards per game, they were definitely boosted by 3 games where he had, in all 3, over 180 yards. So we'll see. He hasn't had a touchdown since week 9. But, Winston loves to throw the ball. So we'll see how that goes. Cooper Kupp, he's facing off against Seattle. We just saw Seattle Monday night just continue to give up big chunks through the air. They have 3 different weapons out there. So it's tough to say. Robert Woods just had 19 targets last game. But who's to say it's not going to be Kupp next game? Cooper Kupp had his first touchdown last week since week 8. He's only averaging 5 targets a game over the last 4 weeks. But the last time he played Seattle this season, he had 17 targets, 117 yards, and a touchdown. So, hey, it's possible. It probably could happen. I'm giving the wide receiver advantage to the Browns. So we'll move on to the running backs. Christian McCaffrey. Moving on. Zeke.
I love how all year we have yet to talk about Christian McCaffrey. That's all I'm going to say. I just love it.
I mean, I wrote down 2 stats.
Every time I get him, I'm like, CMC, whatever.
I wrote down 2 stats for CMC. He has nearly 1,800 scrimmage yards on the season so far. And he has 25.8 touches averaged per game. Screw you, CMC. Screw you. So we'll move on to his next running back, who will have to be carried by CMC. Sony Michel. Sony Michel, he is running back number 27 on the year. Somehow, I think it's probably because of 6 touchdowns. He's going against Kansas City. They are 30th against the run. So it's a possibility. Sony Michel has a good game. The last 4 games, Sony Michel had 4 carries, then 10 carries, then 20 carries, then 10 carries. This dude is he needs volume to stay relevant. He's averaging 3.5 yards a carry. So he needs the volume. If he doesn't get it, this is just on the shoulders of CMC, and that's it. Kansas City is relatively generous though, so it might happen. They're allowing 5 yards per carry on the ground. They just destroyed Oakland, but Josh Jacobs still had 104 yards on the ground, so it's possible. They just got to feed it to the 1 running back and not the 7 that they have out in New England. On the other side of the ball, Zeke, running back number 6 on the year. He's going against Chicago. Chicago is 18th against the run, just under middle. It's easier to run on Chicago than it is to throw. Zeke hasn't scored in 3 weeks, but it's been great. He's had double-digit fantasy points since week 10, and he's played Buffalo and New England in that time, so he's relevant. He's doing great. Feed him the ball. Derrick Henry. God damn it, Derrick Henry.
Damn Derrick Henry.
Fuck you, Derrick Henry.
Running
back number 3 on the season.
He did it.
He's a force to be reckoned with. Fuck you, man. He's going against Oakland. I mean, Oakland is 21st against the run. For the past 3 weeks, Derrick Henry has had over 148 yards each game on the ground. What the fuck, Derrick Henry? He's also had 6 targets combined in those 3 weeks. And he's caught all the passes in those past 3 weeks. In fact, He's only missed 5 targets all year. He's caught everything else. He's getting 19.3 carries on the ground this season. Oakland just allowed Kansas City to run all over him with 3 different running backs. Derrick Henry, I know you're going to go off, and it just pisses me off. So, running back advantage I'm given to the Prescott Sterlings. I think the consistency and the fact that these are the only running backs, Sony Michel may not be the only running back in that game, and matchups go in favor of the Sterlings. So, there we go. Tight end, Darren Waller for the Sterlings. He's tight end number 2 on the season. He's going against Tennessee. They are 25th against the tight end. Hunter Renfrow goes down. Tyrell Williams, not necessarily as involved. Waller's getting 9 targets a game. I just love him. I love him in this matchup. He has 1 game under 39 yards. He's heavily involved. Tennessee, they're allowing over 270 yards per contest the last 3 weeks. So fire up Waller with confidence, a little bit more confidence with Zach Ertz, even though he is tight end number 5 on the season. The Giants have been allowing almost nothing to the tight end position, and Dallas Goedert is kind of eating. Do you still have him on your team, Robbie?
He is on my team, yeah.
I mean, you can.
Don't worry, he'll like tear an ACL. That's
bold prediction.
Yeah.
Bold prediction.
R.I.P. Will Disley.
I think Will Disley's still like tight end number 15.
That's crazy.
I agree.
I'm gonna look it up while you guys go.
Willie Ding Dong Disley. Jesus.
Zach Ertz, though, he was held to 24 yards against Miami, nonetheless. It's because it went to Goddard. Goddard's involved. Alshon's back, and listen, Zach Ertz only has 3 touchdowns on the year. Let's see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, he's still getting targets. I think he's still averaging 7 targets a game. So, I don't know. An advantage, Waller. I'm going to stop talking about Zach Ertz because there's 2 tight ends there now. Waller seems to be the only tight end out there. We'll give him the advantage. We'll go to the flex position. Adam Thielen is currently there right now, although he did not practice today, from what I understand. He is wide receiver 44 on the season.
Tight end 22 is what he is.
Still, though. Jesus. He hasn't played since week 7, so.
I thought it was week 3.
Week 5. 5, yeah. We'll split the difference.
It was sad.
Yeah, and he was so good.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, for real, though. Okay, Adam Thielen. Going against Detroit. Detroit sucks. That's all we need to know. They're 25th against the wide receiver. They're worse against running backs. Thielen, though, he's been battling that hamstring injury. Before he had the injury, he had 6 touchdowns in 7 games. And since he's been out, I think Cousins has only gotten better. So having Thielen out there would be great, but he didn't practice. We'll see. I mean, if he's out there, he's going to get utilized. I think with Dalvin Cook, if he's good enough, they're going to throw him out there. I don't think they're good. They're in a need to win situation, pretty much here on out, in order to stay in the hunt. Because I don't think the Packers are going to let up at all. So
yeah,
we'll see. Although Robbie Anderson has been on fire the last 2 weeks, he's put Jamison Crowder to rest. So interesting. Robbie Anderson, wide receiver 49. He's going against Miami. Sam Darnold. He had his foot stepped on, is what I read.
My foot.
Yeah. He had his foot stepped on, and he sucks 100% of the time when his foot gets stepped on. So, Sam Darnold sucked, but he got it to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson just in time going off for the playoff push here, or the playoff productions. The last 2 weeks, 187 yards and 1 touchdown. That is more yards the last 2 games He has had more yards the last 2 games than weeks 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 combined.
Wow.
So he needs to stay hot or go back to where he came from. Although Miami's terrible on defense, their offense is starting to surge. This man with the big headphones, he knows that their offense is surging, so it could be a back and forth game.
Deep part.
Which could keep Robbie Anderson relevant, which means I'm giving him the advantage. We're going to just go ahead and give the flex advantage to Robbie Anderson. That's where we're going to cut that one out. Robbie, you got some bold predictions for this matchup?
I do. In the spirit of you, Josh, I have Henry rushing for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Pretty easy on this night. Yep.
That's 2 runs. That's 2 runs for 2 touchdowns right there.
Yeah, exactly. And 18 stiff arms on the way there.
We'll do an army crawler too.
Yeah, exactly. God, he's the slowest person I've ever seen run that fast. It makes no damn sense to me. But and then I got in the namesake of me, I have Robbie Anderson, 160 and a touchdown. He's been looking really good. The Dolphins can't stop anything. The Jets can't stop anything. These are 2 teams just playing to see who's better at seeing ghosts, stepping on feet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
It's going to be Devontae Parker. So.
Yeah, it is. And it's crazy because they've already played Miami once already, and I think Jamison Crowder was the one that shined in that one. He had like 18 points, but all of a sudden,
I just think they remembered that he's a good receiver. Like, it's kind of crazy, so it happens. Yeah. But I think he breaks a couple long ones. I think I did write on here 3 to 4 receptions, but I didn't want to really go with that. But let's do it. 3 to 4 receptions.
Yeah, 3 to 4 receptions, not bad. I mean, that's pretty much he gets like 5 targets a game, so
yeah.
That he would need all of those receptions to make. I still can't believe it, man. I listed off 8 different weeks where he had, as a combined, under 187 yards those last 2 games that he's had. So it's, I mean, if he's involved now, this is the absolute right time to pick him up, and the Browns did it. So I'm going to go with. They needed to push to get hot and make their push to get into the playoffs, and I'm going to stick with them. Prescott Sterling's. We're going to take this game by 4 points. I think that's what's going to happen, and I think you're going to have to take them on, Robbie, which will be actually an extremely good game if that is correct.
This one's tough. This one's tougher than the one I had to do, I feel like.
There's a lot of boom potential in this game here.
For the sake of being different. Oh, Will Fuller's on the bench.
Against New England. That's tough. Or no, they just played New England. Sorry.
He gets Denver.
Denver?
Which could be good. I mean, if they keep Hopkins, but he's on. I don't know. It's tough. I'm gonna take the Browns in this one actually. Just for the sake of making up some ground, because I have no idea where we're at officially in the pickups. So.
I think I'm going to have to go back to that last week's video and tally that one up. But that makes sense, though. I mean, honestly, like I said, this game has a lot of boom potential on either side of the ball. So we'll see how this one goes. It'll be interesting. Robbie, thank you for joining us. Thank you for eating peppers.
Yeah, thanks for letting me just chill here. Well, not really chill. It's been quite awful.
Thank you for sizzling.
Yeah,
I've been fidgeting the entire time. So
thanks for letting the peppers soak in while we watch Spain. Seeing as how you took the number 1 seed and you got the first bye week, and you've been kind of chilling for the past week. You didn't really need to get that win, but you did anyways and put up the highest amount of points. What's your take? Who do you think is going to be the Sacco? And on the other side of the ball, who do you think is going to be the champion?
So I said it a couple weeks ago, I believe, to you, Josh, in a text. I think all signs point to Hooper's Hampered.
Ugh.
But I'm choosing Sacco Life to be Sacco.
Yeah.
I'm all about that life.
I think you have a lot of players that really boomed to get you further in the standings earlier, and right now they're just cooling.
Terrible. They're terrible.
Yeah, it's really
Sucks.
upsetting. Julio Jones always wants to play, and he always gets hurt. So, I mean, your big player is gone. I think you will be. I forgot how it'll match up. I think you'll end up playing Hooper's Hampered, and then they'll beat you by like a point. It'll be very, very sad. But
It'll be the worst day of my life.
Unlike last year when I let you slide by and took it, you're going to get this time. So.
Hey, third time's the charm. So
hey, yeah, we try to get Josh there, but no. So that will be this. You will be the Sacco. I apologize.
Your pick for the Sacco.
And then again, another.
Did you really write that down, or did you just make a pen movement?
Josh.
Yeah.
I wrote it down.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sacco Live.
With the stars.
With the stars.
There might be a weekly, nay, daily name change for me moving forward until I find the most appropriate name.
When you said that you texted me.
Minus.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, just put all the names down.
No, T minus 20 days until Sacco. T minus 19 days till Sacco.
That's fair. All right, so
I'm picking Prescott Sterling. I've been talking to you again, Josh, about this kind of outside hot team. If you can get past this week, I do think that the matchup against me will probably be the best matchup of the playoffs.
Yes.
And he'll sneak by. He'll meet Not Enough Cooks in the championship and take him down pretty handily. I think week 16 he has some good matchups for his players. And I think he would, especially with Dak. Dak is going to put up 40-something points in that last week. I believe they play Philly, divisional game.
Yeah.
They want to shut him down. If the Bears beat the Cowboys, it's going to be a lot closer at that. It's just going to be Cowboys kind of stressing to get in, especially with Jerry Jones on their back all the time. So I pick Prescott Sterling as a champ.
That's who I when all these people have been decided here, when Tuesday rolled around, Tuesday morning, and we finally had the actual standings here, I think Prescott Sterling will be. They just got hot at the right moment, and there's no signs of slowing down.
I hope not, but
I mean, yeah. I hope myself. I said it in the group chat. My team will and should be dropped after the first week. They no longer deserve to be there. I had a nice middle of the season run, but I mean, I hope I get some luck here. But
yeah, that's all it is at this point. Is just
yeah, you never know. I mean, you got some players that can bust or boom. I'm sorry, but
and I think that's the thing. Everybody here has players like that. I think we all. Even if those Texans go off, Danny, before he faced me, he went off for 150. So everybody's got a shot here. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think when it comes to me, I would love to pick myself jumping ahead, but I've just been kind of right here until this last week, and I think Prescott has a chance to jump over that pretty easily.
It's quite possible. Yeah, this has been your high scoring week this past week.
Yeah, Lamar didn't do anything.
Lamar.
Only against Louis' team when he needed it the most.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
I would have lost the game regardless. So.
Yeah, I do that. Sorry. Yeah. I did get a desperation text. So you think you could?
I was like, hey, how about sitting Lamar? Give him the old boy a chance.
Yes, I tried to rest him. It just didn't happen. Sorry.
You know.
So that's who I am. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me fulfill this. Said it was kind of a on the whim two pepper thing, but I gotta live up to it. So
you're a man of your word. I like it.
Give something.
I like this. I think habanero bets will be a thing. A Warren 2009 tradition. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and
you will definitely regret it. So,
yeah. Thanks again, man. We appreciate you joining us, and
thank you. Yeah, I will go ahead and jump out of here, and you guys have a good rest of your night. All right. Good luck to everyone this week.
Yeah. Good luck, everybody. This is going to be a good week for sure. Oh, wow. That covers the quarterfinals here. What a end of the season we have ahead of us. I think even to be honestly, even the Sacco has boom potential. All of you guys do.
It's scary. It's still just with the parity we've had this year. We've heard that word a lot, but amongst the winners bracket and the losers bracket right now, it's really anybody's game. I mean, Dale put up 120 last week, which would have beat anyone in the losers bracket last week. So I mean, teams are there. Darius Geis went off for like 30 points last week on Matt's bench.
On 10 touches from what I saw too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really gonna, like, who's going to start the right players, really, truly. So it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it'll be very entertaining to watch. I mean, in years past, we've had a couple of years where you just know who's going to be the Sacco. You know who's going to be the champ.
Yeah. It's up in the air again.
This is definitely up in the air. I think Prescott Sterling might stay hot, and I think that's what's going to happen. But anything is possible. All of these players, I think the NFL in general has been a surprise this season, and I love it. It's been great.
Yeah.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Any last words here, Louis? We're all good?
I think we're all good. Yeah, I might be filming in a new location next week, which will be cool.
Yeah. Louis, for those who don't know, Louis is moving this Saturday.
We're moving. We're going to Arizona.
I'm visiting every fucking weekend.
I wish. No, we're not going to Arizona. We're moving down the road.
Well, with that being said, and me dropping beer all over my computer because I just feel like it. No.
Yeah.
Best of luck to the quarterfinalists. We'll be keeping an eye out. I think I have some decorating to do. It's nice to not have to worry about a matchup for once. But otherwise, guys, have fun. Good luck out there. And as always, go sports.
Go sports, baby.
Hey.